Welcome to Nkari's Quest, the journey of ancient mysteries and secrets.
The story begins in the quiet courtyard of an old mission convent in Ejagam land. Ada Ita and Nkari had joined a delegation from their community to meet with the mission leaders. Also present was Uchi, an intelligent Igbo girl and Nkari's classmate who had accompanied her father, one of the church's lay readers. While the elders and mission leaders discussed preserving local traditions alongside Christian teachings, Uche and Nkari lingered near the edge of the courtyard. "Your father looks so serious," Nkari whispered. Uche smirked. "He's always like that when it comes to church matters. Don't let his face fool you. He's not as strict as he looks." Nkari grinned. "I doubt that. He'd probably scold us if we wandered off." Uche tilted her head, clearly debating the idea. "Maybe, but I'm curious too." Taking that as permission, Nkari led the way toward an old stone building with its wooden door slightly ajar. "Come on," he said, "let's see what's inside." Inside the building, they found shelves stacked with dusty relics and artifacts. As Nkari scanned the room, his eyes fell on a small, rusted pendant buried under a pile of cloth. He picked it up, brushing away the dust, and noticed faint symbols etched into its surface. "These markings," he whispered to himself, tracing them with his finger. "What is it?" Uche asked, stepping closer. She peered at the pendant and gasped. "Nkari, those are Nsibidi symbols." At that moment, Ada Ita appeared in the doorway, his calm voice cutting through the stillness. "What have you found, Nkari?" Nkari held up the pendant. It was hidden under some cloth. "Look, grandfather, these symbols are Nsibidi." Ada Ita stepped closer, examining the pendant. His expression shifted to one of reverence. "Yes, they are Nsibidi," he said softly. "These symbols are a form of our ancient writing. They carry deep meanings, messages that transcend words." Uche nodded excitedly. "I've read about Nsibidi. Nsibidi influenced many cultures, even Igbo traditions." Leaning against the wall, Ada Ita spotted an iron staff engraved with similar markings. He walked over and carefully lifted it. "This staff," he said with awe, "is sacred. Together with the pendant, it tells a story, one that begins long before this convent was built." As they left the building, carrying the pendant and staff, Nkari and Uchi noticed a cross standing tall in the convent courtyard. The letters INRI were carved deeply into the wood above it, catching their attention. "What does INRI mean?" Uche asked thoughtfully, her gaze fixed on the cross. Ada Ita rested the staff against the ground and looked up at the cross. The Romans placed these letters above the cross during the crucifixion of Jesus. In Latin, they claimed it meant Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, but its meaning goes deeper than Latin. In our language, Ejagam, the word means I am. "I am," Uchi echoed, her brow furrowing. "Yes," Ada Ita said. "It is the name God used to introduce himself to Moses. When Moses asked for God's name, he said, 'I am that I am.' This was not just a name, it was a declaration of existence, life, and divine power." Nkari's eyes widened. "So INRI, the letters above the cross, are like saying, 'I am' in another way?" "Exactly," Ada Ita continued. "And there's more. The phrase 'I am' also echoes something ancient in our culture. In Ejagam, Efik, Ibibio, and even Igbo, we say Iya or Ya, which is praise to the highest. This is no coincidence. The power of I am or Iya has always been tied to existence and the divine." As they walked back to the meeting room, Uche's face lit up. "Papa," she began, "this reminds me of something I've learned about my people, the ancient Nkari kingdom." Ada Ita looked intrigued. "Tell us, Uche." Uche explained, "The Nkari kingdom is one of the oldest in Igbo history. The kings, or INRI, were seen as god kings. They were known for their wisdom, justice, and their role in uniting the Igbo people. My father told me their name, Nkari, is tied to existence, just like you said, I am." Nkari's eyes widened. "So the name Nkari is connected to the same idea?" "Yes," Uche continued, "and the Nkari kingdom traces its origins to a figure named Eri. Eri is said to have been sent by God to establish the first community. His name comes from Nkari or Ere, the word for existence or life. It's incredible how this connects to what you're saying about I am." Ada Ita nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "You're absolutely right, Uche. Eri and Nkari are connected to the same truth, the divine essence of life and creation." Nkari looked at the pendant in his hand. "So the letters and the stories of Nkari and Eri, they all point to the same thing?" "Exactly," Ada Ita said. "They are different ways of expressing the same eternal truth." Back inside the convent, Ada Ita placed the pendant and staff on the table. Uche's father joined them, his curiosity piqued by the discussion. "These items," Ada Ita said, addressing the group, "carry the same message as the cross. The pendant bears insibidi markings, and the staff is engraved with symbols of power and life. Together, they affirm the truth of I am." Uche's father nodded. "It's remarkable how these symbols from our heritage echo the same divine truths we find in Scripture. Perhaps this is God's way of showing us that truth is universal." Uche traced the symbols on the pendant with a finger. "But how did they end up here?" Ada Ita's eyes glinted with curiosity. Perhaps they were hidden here during a time of conflict. Or perhaps the missionaries who built this place understood their sacredness. Either way, their presence here is not by chance. Nkari thought of the letters INRI on the cross. So when the Romans wrote INRI, they didn't just mark Jesus' crucifixion. They unknowingly declared something much bigger, the divine truth of existence itself. Ada Ita smiled. "Yes, Nkari. To say I am is to connect with the divine, with creation, and with the eternal story of life. That is why it is the name God used to reveal himself. And that is why it echoes through our language, through Nsibidi, and through the letters on the cross." The meeting ended, and the delegation prepared to leave. Nkari and Uche stepped into the courtyard alongside Ada Ita. The setting sun bathed them in golden light. Nkari's thoughts quiet but steady. "Grandfather," he said after a long pause, "the words I am feel powerful, like they connect everything, our language, our history, even God himself." Uche nodded, her expression thoughtful. "And the Nsibidi symbols, along with the stories of Nkari and Eri, make it even clearer. They're like a bridge between our ancestors and the divine truth." "That's because it does," Ada Ita replied. "I am is the ultimate truth of life, of existence, of creation. It is a name, a declaration, and a connection to the divine. And now, both of you are part of that story." As Uche walked away with her father, the courtyard grew quiet. Nkari stood beside Ada Ita. "Paths may change," Ada Ita said softly, "but the truth connects us all, to each other and the divine." Nkari nodded, his gaze lifting to the stars, where the quiet of the moment carried a profound weight.